Hey guys, how you doing? Uncle Bob here, back once again with another video, and today we're going to be doing the DVD movie review of Gladiator 2, directed by Ridley Scott. And obviously it's the second movie in the Gladiators, which is now a well, movie franchise, 'cause it's got more than one film in the franchise. So the Gladiator, the first, directed by Ridley Scott, which was released in the year 2000. I did actually see the first one in the cinema back in 2000 with my dad, 25 years ago. Long time now, yeah, but I remember seeing it at the cinema. I thought it was extremely good, very well. Very well acted, great action scenes, fantastic story. Yeah, everything's there. Really emotional scenes, and yeah, just a brilliant film. You can't fault it at all. And then the second one, which was, to my surprise, was and probably to a lot of people, an unexpected sequel, which I didn't actually think we would get, unless anyone else thought differently. I mean, I only found out that there was a second Gladiator when I think it was when I went to see Deadpool and Wolverine at the cinema, and then I saw the trailer for this just come up. I thought, to my surprise, oh, Gladiator 2. Um, I mean, they make a lot of sequels. Some they need to make sequels, and some they don't. And I was like, well, to my surprise, a second Gladiator. I was quite surprised to see this, to see a trailer for it. And I was like, second Gladiator? Did they need to make a Gladiator? Because a lot of films, they make sometimes a sequel just for the sake of it, like something's 20 years ago, make a sequel. Sometimes need a sequel, sometimes don't really need a sequel. And I thought, did I really need to do a sequel? Yeah, I was quite surprised doing that. But then I was also quite excited to see for there to be another Gladiator film. So I was like, like the first one, I thought, oh yeah, that's this could be quite good. Second sequel to something that was really, really good, and something that you didn't think there would be a sequel. But anyway, yeah, Ridley Scott made second Gladiator, and I was only surprised that be a second Gladiator, but the fact is they'd killed the main character, Maximus, played by Russell Crowe in the first one. You thought, oh, second one, trying to carry it on without the main lead. Is it going to be strong enough to hold up without the main lead? To keep it going. It's sort of like a thing where, just use an example, like the character Blade in the Blade movies. It's like trying to, do a Blade movie and then killing Blade off and then carrying it on. Sort of trying to carry on. Maybe should they have, if they were going to do a second one, should they have killed Maximus off? Maybe should they have not killed him off and had it carried on, and then maybe killed him off in the second one and then maybe carried it on. But I don't know. Maybe it was wrong decision to kill him off. But I didn't really know the story I was going. Did they make a mistake? I don't know whether they, Ridley Scott was intended to kill Maximus and continue the story, or whether he, because I thought Gladiator first was just going to be a one-off, and there was, because he died and that was the end of it, or so we thought it was the end of it. I don't know whether it was Ridley Scott's decision to kill Maximus off in the first and then call it a day, but then decided to make a sequel, but then having realised he made a mistake and killed Maximus off, and they thought, well, we shouldn't have done that, but we're making a second one anyhow. So, did he make the mistake, or was he intended to actually kill Maximus off to carry on the story? I don't know. I did read something that said that Russell Crowe's supposed to come back, whether it was originally that he wasn't supposed to die in the first, or whether he just supposed to come back. I don't know. Because you see flashbacks in this of when Maximus, there's sort of like scenes that it goes back to the first. Um, so I don't know yet. I think there's a bit of confusion of whether he was supposed to get killed off or whether they made a mistake. But you know, obviously it was too late. You know, they decided to make a sequel, so they'd already killed him off. But yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, this was released. I think it's released in December. I think it was, and it's just come out on DVD. Pretty much, I think like a week ago or something like that. It's quite recent, anyway. But yeah, an unexpected sequel. Yeah, so I was a bit surprised at seeing it, but also excited as well because you know, love the first one. I thought Gladiator 2, yeah, but obviously it's sort of like, yeah, but you've killed the main guy off. Is it going to hold up? You know, but anyway, yeah. So let's look at the cast. Now, obviously, director we know, Ridley Scott, directed so many good films, and obviously the first Gladiator was absolutely fantastic. The Maximus's son, Lucius, is played by Paul Mescal, or Mescal. I don't really know too much about this Paul Mescal. I can't think of what other films he's been in. But he's kind of like sort of an upcoming young actor. I guess he must have been in a few other films, but not sort of many. But yeah, he's in it playing Lucius, which obviously turns out to be Maximus's son. It's also got the legendary Denzel Washington that's been in so many other films. Training Day, the Equalizer franchise that's really, really good now. Trying to think what other films he's been in now. He's been in loads, but you know, it's fantastic in Training Day. I thought that was fantastic. His performance in that, outstanding performance in that. He played a villain. Just really fantastic in that. I think that's why I think they got an award for that Training Day. Just amazing. I was trying to think who was in The Hunt for Red October. I can't remember if that was him or someone else. But yeah, but I mean, you know, he's been in loads of good films, and he's a fantastic actor. So that's good that they had him in this. It's also got Connie Nelson, which was in the other Gladiator, who plays Lucius' mum. I can't remember what his character name is in this, but yeah, she plays Lucius' mum, which she did in the previous Gladiator, and I believe there's an old guy that was in the other Gladiator as well. I can't think of his name. But there's also Pedro Pascal, which I believe he plays Lucius's brother in this. But it's sort of his enemy. He's fighting against, but I don't think he likes fighting against his brother. I think he's sort of made to do it unwillingly, but he doesn't sort of seem to like going against his brother, but he's sort of like pressured into it sort of by the emperor's yeah, sort of like pressured into it and sort of thing. But yeah, I don't think he likes actually going against his brother. Yeah, so Paul Mescal, Denzel Washington, Connie Nielsen was in the first one, and then the old guy's name, which I can't think of his name, but Rachel Pascal plays with his brother, uh, Joseph Quinn. I don't know if that's him. Um, yeah, a few other young actors that are in this as well. So it's sort of a mixture of actors. You've got obviously Denzel Washington and the other old guy that's in it, which I can't think of his name. But yeah, a few people that are returning from the first Gladiator, Connie Nielsen, and the guy that I can't think of his name. And then obviously you've got Paul Mescal and Pedro Pascal, and then a couple of other young sort of upcoming actors. So it's quite a mixture of cast there. So now let's get on to the actual story, what it's about. So, cut a long story short, so obviously the events of Gladiator the first, where Maximus has been killed. This is set 16 years later after the events of what happened in Gladiator 1 and then Maximus getting killed. So this is set 16 years after. Although it's actually 25 years or 24 years, I think it was coming out December 2024. So actually 24 years in real time since the first Gladiator, but actually in the actual storyline it's set 16 years after. So I guess in Lucius was maybe around about 10, I guess, when sort of the events of this, I'd say 16 years, so like 26. But as I say, it's in like his 20s. I don't think he's in his 30s, because it's like, I'm sure he's only like about 10, so I'm guessing like 26. But I can't be too sure about that. But yeah, not much older than 30, I couldn't see. But yeah, so set 16 years after, Lucius is now the boy, it's obviously a boy in Gladiator. He's now a lot older, and he's, I believe, commander of. He's become. I don't know if he's general commander, but he's become. So 16 years later, after that, he's become sort of like a general or commander now, and he's got his own army. But he's sort of commander. He's got his army, and they're doing battles at sea. He's sort of like a commander of an army. They've got like a ship and they're going to like battles at sea, or at least the first battle that you see. I won't tell you too much about them, but the first battle is like where they're at sea and he's battling another army with his army, and they're at sea basically. So yeah, he's now got his own army and a commander or whatever. So yeah, so basically he ends up losing the battle, and then he becomes a slave to the because he loses the battle and he becomes a slave to the other army, or yeah, just becomes a he becomes well, him and his other army become slaves to the other army, which is his brother. So it's obviously gone against his brother, lost against them, and he's now become a slave to the other army. Becomes a slave, and then it's pretty much they've basically just used the same sort of story, but just changed it slightly. Where he's where Maximus was a general, events happened, and then he becomes a slave. So pretty much the same situation as this. Just different circumstances. He's lost a battle, become a slave, and then yeah, pretty much the same thing happens in Gladiator. He becomes a slave, and then he's made to fight in the arena, like he does on the Gladiator first. Fights in the arena, and obviously ends up fighting in the Roman Colosseum, similar to the same events as first, but they've changed a few things slightly. Ends up fighting, and he's basically he tries to win his freedom to get out of it, and yeah, there's a lot of betrayal going on where one minute Denzel Washington's character is sort of portrayed as a good guy, then he turns villainous, and then yeah, there's a lot of betraying going on, backstabbing along the way, and then Lucius, which is obviously Maximus's son. So it's basically the rise of Lucius getting older, becoming a ringleader, or general, commander, or whatever. As I said, then loses a battle, becomes a slave. Yeah, ends up fighting in arena, tries to win his freedom and get out of it, but the emperors are trying to keep him prisoner. Then he later on finds out that he's actually Maximus's son. So he finds he finds the truth out that he's Maximus' son, but I think they tried to cover it up where they didn't want to find out that he was Maximus' son, because in the events after Maximus dies, Lucius's mother gets him sent away, because she doesn't want anyone, after the events of Maximus getting killed, she doesn't want anyone finding out that Lucius is Maximus's son, because I think she thinks he's going to get killed or whatever. So she sends him away, and then he's obviously grows up after that without a mother, and obviously not knowing the truth. But yeah, she tries to sort of cover it up, basically, or hide the truth that he's Maximus's son. So he goes away, and then he obviously ends up growing up and then fighting as a commander or general. To later, then fighting in the arena, finding out the truth that he's Maximus's son. That all gets revealed. And yeah, as I said, there's a lot of backstabbing and going on with the emperors, and yeah, they're all sort of turning against each other, and it's a bit complicated, but you sort of see what's going on. But Denzel Washington is sort of, in the end, he gets revealed as sort of like the main villain, actually. So, other than the events of the first Gladiator, where the guy that is the one that's in charge of the slaves, he is a good guy in the first Gladiator. The guy that's in charge of the slaves, was obviously Maximus, is one of them. He sort of he is good, even though he's in charge of the slaves. Obviously, he starts getting friendly with Maximus, and then in the end he tries to help Maximus escape, and obviously gets killed. But on this, they changed it slightly, and Denzel Washington's character he's in charge of the other slaves, where Lucius becomes one of them. But on this occasion, he, unlike the first one, where guy in charge of the slaves tries to help Maximus, Denzel Washington's character, I don't know if he was supposed to help Lucius escape or something, but anyway, so yeah, this time they sort of, whether they tried to copy some of the stuff in the events of the first. This they changed it slightly. So instead of Denzel Washington's character being in charge of the slaves and then helping them, he double crosses them, and yeah, he basically tries to kill Maximus, and he doesn't want him to escape. So he goes against him instead of trying to help him. So then he gets revealed as the main villain, and obviously goes against Lucius at the end. So yeah, that's cut a long story short. So that's basically it. It's about Lucius uh, growing up, getting in charge of his army, losing, becoming a slave, fighting in the arena, trying to escape, finding out the truth that it was Maximus's son, and yeah, and then just trying to escape from being a slave, and then going up against Denzel Washington's character. So yeah, I think I've explained pretty much that. Yeah, well, I think I'll end up confusing myself some of the time. But yeah, so that's basically the main story about Lucy's growing up, uh, having to go through pretty much the same stuff as what Maximus did, being a slave and then being a gladiator in the arena, trying to escape and then finding out the truth that he's Maximus' son. So yeah, that's the main thing. So what we've got to do next? Yeah, let's look at the good and bad. There's good and bad about this. Good news and bad news. Let's look at the good first. I think the good is the fact is, yeah, I was surprised there was another Gladiator film, but also excited as well. I felt excited, and I thought, oh yeah, this could be quite good actually. Another Gladiator film, because I said, like the first, absolutely fantastic. And in fact, getting another Gladiator, which I didn't know that we were going to get, and I was like, yeah, excited for it to see it. And I was like, yeah, could be really good. So yeah, excited. So I think it's good that that we got another Gladiator, which was unexpected. So yeah, thought that was good. The time is pretty good. I think it's pretty much the same time as Gladiator the first, about 2:20. I think it is. So it sort of works out the same. So I think the time is quite good. It's not something that's a sequel that's too short. Something like this, like one of these epic films, you can't have it too short. But you also, again, you can't have it too long, because if this was longer than the first, it would have been too long, too boring. But this runs roughly about the same time, 2:20ish. So I think the time is good. The action scenes are pretty spectacular. So I would say that the action scenes are really, really good actually. Yeah, they done really, really well. The violence is pretty brutal, which I think it should be in these kind of films, like Romans, Vikings, Knights, that kind of thing. Because back then it was, thousands of years ago, or whatever. It was, it was really brutal and bloody. And this what is. It's not toned down or anything. It's as brutal as it could be. So yeah, that's pretty good. Uh, some stuff similar, as I said, to the first film, which I think is kind of cool to an extent, which is good. The cast is, I think, so. I think having the few cast that was in the first film was pretty good, minus Russell. Yeah, Denzel being in it was good. because he's a legend. Maybe it should have been a few other characters. So I think there's a few good things there. But let's look at the bad. Uh, the bad is that it's, I guess you could say, not as good. I don't know if that counts. It's one of the things being bad. It's not as good. Nowhere, well, it's nowhere near as good as the first Gladiator. It was pretty much perfect. This is not. It's got a few problems, things wrong, and at times some of the things are a bit annoying, not as good. Um, Although the action is, as I said, it is good. You know, it's really done well. But there's a few things like the CGI which looks on sometimes a bit too ridiculous. There's like these killer monkeys, sort of like wild monkeys that I don't even know if they're actual real. I don't know if they're actually based on real characters, but sort of like wild monkeys with like teeth. So I don't know whether they existed years and years ago, but I don't think they have them around like that. But they're sort of like wild monkeys that are like really aggressive. But it's not even that. They just look really rubbish. They just don't even look like that. Well, that's, obviously it's going to be not real monkeys, but you've got to make them look at least a little bit real. On this, they look too fake. They just look completely rubbish. Yes, I think all the action is good, but there's some bits CGI looks a bit too rubbish. The acting is, I wouldn't say, is that great at all, really. However, the acting in the first is just fantastic. Like Russell Crowe is absolutely fantastic acting in that. And a lot of the cast, I think there were a lot of cast actually. Not only Russell was pretty good. I think Joaquin Phoenix was really good in that. So I think all round the acting was pretty good. On this, it seems like they're sort of just reading from a script rather than putting sort of any emotion, like sort of anyone can sort of just read from a script. I mean, you, me, or anyone can just easily read from a script, and but that's just not really acting. Acting ain't just about just reading from a script, because as I said, anyone could do that. It's sort of putting emotion and thought and sort of maybe your own sort of way of expressing sort of things that you're trying to say on a script that got to appear emotional, and sort of I think you've got to not just reading it from a script. Basically, you've got to sort of put emotion behind it, so you really makes the audience feel like you really mean something. Putting up real emotion behind it, not just basically reading it, but saying what you mean, putting some real emotion behind it. And it didn't feel like that with this. It just felt like I was just reading it from a script, which I felt it didn't seem like acting. It just felt like, oh, just read it, your script, and that's it. It just didn't feel like acting. It just felt like it was just reading from a script, not putting real emotion behind it. I think Denzel Washington may have done, because he's a legend, and most of his stuff he's done, it's been pretty good. But I don't know if this was I don't think this was Denzel Washington's best work. Sort of nowhere near like Training Day. You actually believed I think it's a lot of believing the characters as well. In Training Day, Denzel Washington's character, you actually really believed his character, because he just, the role that he played in that was just, you just believed. It's like believing what characters are saying. It's sort of like just acting where it's like reading from a script, and it's got, there's no emotion with it. There's no tone in his voice, and he's just reading it without showing any sort of emotion or anything. And it just felt like that. They're just reading it from a script and not really showing any proper acting, which is that. Another bad thing is, as I said, quite similar to the first, but maybe too similar. But I don't know, because they did add a few new bits, but I think maybe it's maybe too much similar. I think they maybe should have done some stuff, uh, but I think it maybe was going towards maybe too much. Uh, but yeah, I don't know. I think the fight scenes were good because they didn't copy any of the fight scenes. I think all the fight scenes in this were new. I don't think any of the fight scenes were similar to that. So that was on the plus side. So a lot of the fight scenes are different, but on the thing with the actual storyline, it just felt like history was repeating itself, and they were just copying the same story. It's a second movie, sequel where they just copied the same. It just seems like it was repeating itself. So maybe they shouldn't have done it so much. Uh, it just felt like the same sort of thing over and over again. It's sort of almost, I guess you could almost say it was sort of like a remake of the first because it felt like the same. So instead of you thinking it was a sequel where it was going to be a completely different storyline altogether, it just felt like it was like a remake kind of thing, and you felt, is this actually a sequel or is it sort of a remake? Yeah, it's just a bit. But the action is really good and it's a lot different. But yeah, it just felt like sometimes it just becomes annoying at times where it just felt you've just seen this sort of same similar thing to the first Gladiator. It was sort of like, but yeah, but I think there was a few different things I did change. Maybe it's difficult to. I think it was always going to be difficult for this to hold up because the first one was so fantastic. I think this was always going to struggle, whatever way you look at it. To be honest, because Russell Crowe's character died, and so it didn't have the main need. So I think it was always going to struggle with not having the main character. I think it lacks also, um, although Denzel Washington's in it, a couple of people from the old one. I think it lacks something else. I think there should have been a few other legendary characters in this to hold it up. I think it's lacking. I think it's lacking too weak on the acting side. If I'm being honest, I think it relies too much on the current young stars like Paul Mescal and Pedro Pascal. I think it sort of relies on too much of them. So I think it needed maybe just at least one or two more powerful actors in it just to give it a bit more strength. But yeah, so it's got good, bad. As I said, yeah, it's nowhere near as good as the first. But I would say it is good, but it's just got too many. It's just got a few too many issues that are wrong with it. But I would say if you're generally just looking for something, I mean, I look most films are just brutal violence and the action's good. As long as the action is good, sometimes it don't really matter too much on a lot of the other things. So I would say in terms of that, if you're just looking for something that's brutal and epic and that, this is pretty good, but it's not nowhere near as good as that in that sense. But it's still pretty good. But yeah, just too many issues going on with the acting being bad, story being too much the same. Where sometimes it becomes a bit annoying. It's too much similar. But then there's good bits where pretty much just mainly the action. I think that's just a case of that, really. I think if you're looking at the storyline and the acting, it's pretty rubbish. But when it gets to the fight, it's pretty good. Uh, yeah. Um, yeah. Also, I feel that when you're watching it, the storyline didn't really feel to me that exciting. It was sort of the first. I felt quite excited to know the story of this. I don't know. I don't think I felt really excited. I think I just really wanted to, because you're just waiting for him to find out that he's Maximus's son. You're just basically waiting for that to get revealed. Really, it's just the main sort of thing. I mean, you want to know what's going on, but yeah, I didn't really feel that much. other than just finding out that he was Maximus's son. Other than that, I didn't feel there was anything that was that exciting about it. I think it's just a case of you just you don't really feel that excited when the acting ain't very good and the storyline's not really that interesting because you basically know what's the main storyline's about. Um, so you sort of like you're watching it, the bad acting is going on, the story is not really that interesting, and it's just a case of just waiting for it to get to the fighting and then just enjoying the really good battle scenes. I think. So I think we're now going to just say, yeah, it's good. Not as good as the first. There's bits and pieces that are good, and as I said, mostly generally just the action that is, I think, pretty much the best bit of this, really. So I was going to say an 8 or 7, but I think, to be honest, I think with the issues it's got, I think I'm going to have to say a 6. I was going to say a 5, but I think maybe if I'm going to be generous, I don't think I could say I don't think I could say a 7 or 8. I'd just go like a 6, because the acting's not very good. The storyline is pretty much the same. It's just like history repeating itself. It seemed like it was a remake rather than a sequel. And yeah, I think it's just too much going on. I think there's sometimes confusion of who's a goodie and who's not, and then one minute someone's a goodie, then they're betraying someone, and then Denzel Washington's character's I think appears to be bad, 1 minute, then good, and then bad, sort of like changing. There's a few double crossing, but yeah, I think 6 out of 10. And it's going to be more of you. Sorry that this is overrun, but I thought I'd just get to a lot of the stuff. And yeah, I think I probably done this too long, but I thought, yeah, I'll just do a good review on it the best I could and just explain a few things. So sorry if it's run too long on this video. Feel free to skip any bits, but if you enjoy it, then that's good. So guys, that's going to be it for this review. Sorry it's so long. Yeah, hope you guys enjoy it. Feel free to leave your thoughts and your opinions, what you thought of the movie, or whether you get around to seeing it, stuff like that. So yeah, so guys, thanks for watching if you have. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more vids. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, bye for now, see you soon. Thanks for watching.